celebrate this year 2011 Asian Heritage Month celebration. My name is Inspector Peter Ewan, and I'm currently assigned to professional standards. It is an honor to be your master of ceremonies for today's festivities. Before I get into the program, I just want to share a little story with all of you. When I joined the job 23 years ago, when I became a police officer 23 years ago, there were only a handful of Asian officers, civilian members, and volunteers. At that time, I felt, who do I turn to when I need mentoring? Who do I turn to when I need some support? Right now, we have over several hundred Asian officers, civilian members, and volunteers. And really, I'm proud to stand here today to tell you that I'm really honored and privileged to be a member of the Toronto Police Service, because this is really a place where inclusiveness is taking place. And much of that credit, I have to say, and much of the credit has to go to our Chief of Police, William Blair, and our Chair of the Police Services Board, Dr. Halohalo. Because of their commitment and their vision, they ensure this place is the employment of choice, and our membership reflects the diversity of our community. So I want to share that with you before we start the program. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to introduce our distinguished podium guests. Dr. Alap Mukherjee, Chair of the Toronto Police Services Board. My Chief of Police, your Chief of Police, Mr. Gary Kawaguchi, the President of the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center. Staff Superintendent Jane Wilcox, Area Field Command, Acting Superintendent Greg Cole, the Mobilization Unit, and also with us today, we have many senior officers of different units and divisions across the service, members of the Asian Consultative Committee, auxiliary officers, co-op students, and volunteers of the Toronto Police Service. Please give them a welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please, we're singing of our national anthem. Today we're privileged to have three young ladies representing Burma, Laos, and Cambodia to sing the national anthem for us. Given the important contributions of Asian Canada, the diversity of the Asian community and its present significance to this country. Throughout Canada's history, Asian Canadians have contributed to Canada's economic, social, and cultural development. Senator Carney, a British Columbian, has testified to the present-day importance of Asian Canadians to the vitality of the province. Senator Feinstein looked at the global impact of Asian culture, stressing that many aspects of Asian culture already permeate our day-to-day lives as global citizens. Senator Feinstein also stressed that this motion before the Senate is intended to address the present as well as the future. As she noted, it reflects to the world what Canada is and what it will become. And on December 6, 2001, on the first session of the 37th Parliament, the motion to declare May as Asian Heritage Month was adopted. We're here today to continue this great Canadian tradition at the Toronto Police Service headquarters and to pay homage to all Asians that have contributed to our great country, Canada. This year, the theme of our celebration is fittingly, accomplishments through unity. We pay tribute to three Asian countries, namely Laos, Burma, Cambodia, three young communities that have made Canada home. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome the Laos Welcome Dance. Our first performance comes from an old Laos tradition, a brief history of the dance. When Laos began to establish diplomatic ties with Western countries, a formal welcome dance was given to state audiences. These ceremonies occur whenever a foreign visitor or dignitary arrived. Welcome dance is also performed to honor individuals or high-ranking officers on any special occasions. The dance exhibits the hospitalities of the host and the grace, shyness, and beauty of Laos women, and express good wishes when the dancers sprinkle petals on the guests. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the Laos Association of Ontario young performers performing the traditional dance. First is the Vientiane Tang Dance Group.
I don't know how I can compete with those performers. Chief Player, distinguished and honored guests, our three local heroes being Sue Dr. Dhanoria and Jenny Chen, members of the Toronto Police Service and members of the community. On behalf of the Toronto Police Services Board, I am delighted to join all of you today to celebrate this year's Asian Heritage Month. This is an opportunity for us to celebrate the diverse cultures and achievements of Asian Canadians and the vital role they play in the unique and powerful multicultural mosaic of Canada. The theme of this year's celebration is accomplishments through unity. This is a very relevant theme for us in this organization as well as a community. We have among us people with a wonderful variety of backgrounds, cultures, and experiences, and they have brought with them an amazing array of knowledge and skills, as exemplified by our local heroes. They enrich our lives with their significant personal contributions. Imagine what we can accomplish together if we create the opportunities and the conditions that allow people from many different backgrounds to be equal participants in our collective enterprise as a society and an organization. Indeed, our board very much supports the notion that much can be achieved when we work in partnership to meet goals together. As a city of many neighborhoods and cultures, we find that we are strengthened when we combine our efforts and our energy, enriching Toronto as we work collaboratively. I know that this year we are showcasing Burma, Cambodia, and Laos, countries that, along with Malaysia, are the newest members of our vibrant and energetic Asia-Pacific Consultative Committee. This dynamic and ever-evolving Consultative Committee began with 4 countries and has now grown to include an impressive 8 Asia-Pacific communities. Our board proudly supports the tremendous efforts of this group as well as the fine work done by the internal support networks that Inspector Yuan referred to, established by our Asian Canadian service members. In addition, our focus on ensuring that we include all of Toronto's diverse communities in our outreach, recruitment, and promotional processes very much includes a focus on Toronto's Asian communities. This year, the Canadian Multicultural Council, Asians in Ontario, together with City of Toronto Community Partnership, have selected 3 recipients of the annual Local Heroes, being so Dr. Dhanoria and Jenny Chen. Each of these 3 individuals is well deserving of this tremendous honor. Through their hard work, fervent dedication, and genuine passion for their communities, our neighborhoods are truly enriched. I should note with great personal pleasure Dr. Noria, who is a colleague of mine on the Police Services Board and brings to this position the same great energy, intellectual stamina, and personal commitment that have led her to be named a local hero today. I would like to commend the wonderful entertainers who are performing for us during this event. Through their inspiring performances, they have brought the essence and dynamism of Asian Canadian communities to the headquarters. Finally, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation of the initiative and hard work of the organizers of today's event, the members of the Asia Pacific Community Consultative Committee, and members of the Community Mobilization Unit. Your efforts have made the most special and successful event come true. Thank you and enjoy the program.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, for your words of wisdom. Next up on the podium is our Chief of Police, Toronto Police Service, Chief William Blair.
Just saying when he came down, now I've got a difficult act to follow because I have to follow the very eloquent and articulate Dr. Mukherjee. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we are delighted to welcome you here today for a very special event as we mark Asian Heritage Month. And I think it's entirely appropriate that we should come to this space which belongs to all of the people of Toronto to celebrate the incredible contribution and the heritage of our Asian community. People who have come from all over the world, and they have brought with them such a rich diversity of culture and of language and of perspective and experience, and they have changed our society in so many positive ways. And we are much better and enriched because of our incredible diversity, and it's important to acknowledge the contribution of Asian Canadians to Canadian society. And today we get to do that, and we get to celebrate some of the extraordinary music and culture and dancing of the young people of the Asian communities. And it's a delight always to welcome young people and all of those who come to entertain and share their culture with us today. It makes this a more special event for all of us. I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge our many partners in the community. You know, we are so blessed in the Toronto Police Service because it is the nature of our city, the nature of our people, that people come together to help us make this a better city, a better society for everyone. And perhaps no group makes a greater contribution or makes a greater effort than those in our Asian community who come and participate in the Asian Pacific Consultative Committee, which is co-chaired by my colleague Jane Wilcox, but which has had so many special events here and helped us really understand and embrace the community. And I'd also ask if you'd indulge me while I acknowledge some pretty important people in my organization. You know, as Peter's already told you, we've made an effort to create a diverse police service, and it's because we recognize the importance of having people who speak the diverse languages of our city, who are culturally competent in all the communities, who are known in those communities, trusted in those communities, and can help us be known and trusted there as well. And I am very blessed because we have extraordinary leaders from all of our communities who have come to join the police service to help us do a better job, to help us reach out, to help us support new officers coming into our service so that we can all do a better job of serving our city. I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge Peter Ewan, who is our excellent MC today, but for many years has been an important liaison to the Asian community, a real leader in our organization, a great community member as well, who has helped us build bridges. Thank you, Peter. I'm also very proud to acknowledge our first Laotian police officer, Soni Maniwong Bong. Sang here? Constable Soni Maniwong is our first liaison officer. He's going to be an important bridge throughout his career to help us serve the Laotian community and all of the people of Toronto. And we're very, very honored that your communities are sending us your very best people to help us serve better. And I'd also like to acknowledge a guy who's been pretty important in our service and in our communities for some time, and that's Phil Mendoza. I don't know where Phil's at. Phil has set a standard for liaison officers for the Toronto Police Service, the way he has served all of our communities, but in particular, you have to acknowledge the way in which he served our Philippine community, writing newspaper articles, helping explain people's rights and their responsibilities, helping us prevent crime, helping us build meaningful, important relationships with that community so we can do a better job of serving it. We have finally recognized the exceptional leadership of Phil, and we promoted him to sergeant. Now he's going to be serving up in North York as one of our supervisors. I'm certain it's the next step in what will always be an extraordinary career, but he has made his mark, and we wanted to acknowledge that. Finally, I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge all of you for your commitment to our city, to our local heroes, Dr. Noria, Ms. Chen, and Ms. Booth. These are important people to acknowledge. It is the contributions that people like our local heroes make, like each and every one of you makes, that makes this a great and livable city, a place where people can come from all over the world, where we can live together in peace and in harmony, and we can celebrate the heritage that each of our cultures contributes to Canadian society. Thank you for being here with us today.
I have to adjust the microphone. The Chief is way taller than I am. Thank you, Chief, for your words of wisdom. At this time, I would like to read a message from Premier Dalton McGuinty, who could not be with us this morning. On behalf of the Government of Ontario, I am delighted to extend greetings to everyone attending Asian Heritage Month celebrations hosted by the Toronto Police Service. Ontario is a proud collection of different cultures, languages, and traditions. Together we draw strength from our diversity and take pride in celebrating our uniqueness. Asian Canadian communities thrive in cities and towns throughout Ontario across Canada and have helped to make our society multicultural fabric strong and vibrant. Asian Heritage Month is an ideal opportunity for Asian Canadians to share the rich cultures of all Canadians and take pride in the community's many achievements, accomplishments that continue to enrich our province and our country. Please accept my sincere best wishes, Dalton McGuinty, Premier of Ontario. Ladies and gentlemen, with us today to celebrate Asian Heritage Month are also the following dignitaries. Japanese Vice Consul Toshiyuki Nakamura. Thank you. Deputy Consul General Emil Weiss of Switzerland and his wife Ariana Weiss. And the Consul General from Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Kathy Radu. I think it's time for us to see another performance. Next we have, ladies and gentlemen, is the Cambodian Blessing Dance. The Blessing Dance is also known as Junpor. It's a traditional dance where angels come from heaven to bless people in the event. The dance is not performed for the ordinary people and is mainly reserved for government officials, kings and queens. The women scatter flower petals to embrace many great blessings. Please welcome the Blessing Dance.
Thank you very much. Thank you for making us feel like kings and queens. Police Services Board, Mr. Mukherjee, Chief of Police, Mr. Blair, APC, CC Co-Chair, Staff Superintendent Wilcox, and Mr. Ray Tolentino, Senior Officers, local heroes, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be with you here today to celebrate Asian Heritage Month and to welcome Burma, Cambodia, Laos, and Malaysia as new members of the APC-CC. My name is Gary Calgucci. I was born in East York when Toronto had less than 700,000 people. My grandparents came to Canada in 1904, so that makes me a third-generation Canadian of Japanese descent. I feel really positive about the opportunity for Asian Canadians to help make Canada, and particularly Toronto, a model for the rest of the world to aspire to. We can make a difference in the pursuit of that goal. But first, I'd like to share with you a brief history of the Japanese-Canadian settlement, internment, and resettlement in Canada, because I think that'll help you to understand why I feel so positive about the future, and hope that we can redefine what it means to be a proud Canadian. Canada, not too many years ago, was a less accommodating place for all ethnic minorities. At the turn of the century, Canada had a Chinese head tax. So it was basically the Chinese that were here, who were a male work gang, known as the Bachelor Society. Canada was happy to have them. Cheap labor, build the railway. But Canada didn't really want more immigration from China, and they passed the Immigration Act in 1923, and that stopped all further Chinese immigration. Immigration from Japan was also very restricted until the 1960s. So you can imagine, as a kid growing up here, Toronto looked very white. Something else happened during the Second World War that had a profound impact on Canada then and now. In 1942, my grandparents and parents were rounded up in Vancouver. Their property, cars, houses, boats, and businesses were confiscated and sold by the Canadian government, with no proceeds distributed to them. Everyone of Japanese descent, and most of whom were naturalized Canadians, or like my parents, Canadians born in this country, were similarly treated and shipped to internment camps, and some, like my father, went to actual POW camps to remove them from the West Coast. At the time, Canada did not have a Bill of Rights, and an Act of Parliament could strip Canadians of their freedom and even their citizenship. The importance of constitutional protections for human rights is evident from the experience of Japanese Americans. Although the Constitution of the United States did not prevent Japanese Americans from being rounded up from the Pacific West Coast and sent to similar camps, the Constitution provided Japanese Americans with legal tools that liberated them from their similarly unjust detention on January 5th, 1945, 4 years before Japanese Canadians regained their civil liberties on April 1st, 1949. Today, thanks to Prime Minister Trudeau, Canada has a Charter of Rights and Freedoms to help prevent any other group from suffering similar discrimination. In the 1950s, if you were of Japanese descent, it was hard to get a job in Toronto. It's actually due to the generosity of the Jewish community that my parents and so many of their friends found employment and started their lives over again in a new city. Because of the internment experience, the removal of basic rights of citizenship, the Japanese community spread out and tried to assimilate as quickly as possible into the fabric of Toronto. That's why my generation has a 90% intermarriage rate. the highest of any ethnic group in such a short period of time. In 1988, the Canadian government offered a formal apology to the Japanese Canadians and financial compensation for lost property to those who are still alive from the internment experience. The Japanese Canadian community asked that $24 million of that redress go towards the formation of the Canadian Race Relations Foundation to build another institutional layer to help root out racism and prevent any group from being a similar target. So prior to the waves of immigration from East, South, Central and Southeast Asia in the 1970s and 1980s that took this great city from a small city to the fourth largest metropolitan area in North America, the government treatment of Japanese Canadians and our success, our community's success resettling here in Toronto, contributed greatly, laid much of the groundwork required to make Canada a more accepting place for all of us. Today in Toronto, we can thank Chief Blair and Chair Mukherjee for their leadership in engaging in open dialogue with all of our communities to be culturally sensitive as they provide the best services for the safety of all Torontonians, and do it in such a way that invites interaction. Why is Asian Heritage Month so important? It's an opportunity for us to celebrate our heritage and to share it with all Canadians, to build awareness, understanding, and friendship. The Japanese Canadian Culture Center is built on a model of friendship through culture for that very reason. Equally important is the need to be proud of what you have contributed. This is a time to understand that the collective strengths of our cultural roots, woven together into the fabric of Toronto, makes this a great city in the world. When we step back and appreciate that, you have a newfound source of pride in your city because you helped to shape it. We have a common Asian philosophy and respect for your family name and your elders, a focus on education for our children, and a strong work ethic to provide for our families. Those are the pillars around which we can further contribute to a stronger Toronto. Canada can have the best of all worlds, and Asian Canadians have so much to offer. Supporting each of our communities is also a strength of Toronto. As mentioned, the recent earthquake and tsunami in Japan rallied the Canadian Multicultural Council of Asians in Ontario to embark on several fundraising initiatives, with the proceeds being sent to the Japanese Canadian Cultural Center Foundation's Japan Earthquake Relief Fund. Every Asian community participated, led by the Korean, Taiwanese, and Vietnamese. I even remember a small group of Burmese meeting me at the JCCC to present me with a collection from their community as well. The support and sense of an extended family is the payback that we all get from living in a great city. And in the spirit of helping out, Superintendent Wilcox showed me a card. Last night she was at an event for the women in law enforcement in Ontario, and this card reads, "On behalf of the Executive Board, I would like to thank you for your commitment and support to the Ontario women in law enforcement. As a token of our appreciation, a donation has been made to the Japanese Disaster Relief Fund in your honor." That's cooperation, that's our city. I will end by sharing something seen through the eyes of a child. About 10 or 11 years ago, I was a minor league coach in Little League Baseball in North Toronto. My son, he had one of his first hits, got to second base, and I saw him standing there, and the second baseman was talking to him, asking him a question. At the end of the inning, he came off, and I said, "Who was that?" He said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Well, what did he ask you?" He said, "What are you?" And Scott said, "I'm Canadian." And the kid said, "Well, you don't look Canadian." So Scott says to me, "Dad, what does a Canadian look like?" And I said to him with a smile, I said, "Scott," I said, "everybody here is a Canadian, but everybody in Canada came from somewhere else. So we all look a little different." Diversity and tolerance is hopefully what our children see, and blending is what our grandchildren will see. That is the promise of a bright future for Canada. That is the model that with great pride we can share with the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kawaguchi from the Japanese Cultural Center, for your words of wisdom and guidance. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to our last performance of the day. It's a Burmese dance called Bagan Dance. Bagan is the main tourist destination in Burma and has inspired visitors for nearly 1,000 years. Bagan covers an area of 42 square kilometers containing over 2,000 well-preserved pagodas and temples from the 11th to the 13th century. The Bagan dance is a very ancient and graceful dance which was performed at the court for the famous Burmese king Anawartha in the year 1044 AD. He was the first Burmese king who brought the country together and founded the glorious Bagan dynasty. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome beautiful young ladies from the Burma Canadian Association in Ontario to perform this dance for us. Today's program, and I would ask you to take several minutes to read through their achievement. They're truly amazing. At this time, I would like to call on members of the Canadian Multicultural Council, Asian and Ontario, President Henry Lee, to come up to the podium, Special Ambassador Ms. Sid Aikida, City of Toronto Community Partnership Mr. Rick Gosling, Staff Superintendent Jane Wilcox, who also serve as the Board Advisors to the CMC, Asian and Ontario, and also on the podium, I would also like to ask Chair Mukherjee and Chief Blair to join in recognizing the 2011 local heroes, Dr. Dun Noria, Jenny Chan, and Bing Su, who cannot be with us today. Thank you. Chief, Chair, and Staff Superintendent Wilcox, I would like you to return because we're now doing the Asian Heritage Month posters to be presented, so please return. Also, at this time, I'm asking Inspector Grayco of the Community Mobilization Unit to come up. Mr. Sambas Chol, President of the Canadian-Cambodian Association of Ontario. Mr. Timothy So Mo Tu and Ms. Bessie Terzi, representing Burma Canadian Association of Ontario, and Mr. Tom Vong Baki and Malif Fat, representing Laos Association of Ontario. Please join us to receive the official 2011 Asian Heritage Month poster. And refreshment, I would like to, last time to thank Constable Phil Mendoza, all members of the consultative committee, and all volunteers and all members of the public for attending today's event. That you have truly bless our house and make this a truly great celebration for Asian Heritage Month. And lastly, I want to thank you for allowing me to be your humble MC today. The Toronto Police Museum will be open if you wish to purchase some gifts, and also we'll invite you to the Grenville lobby for some refreshment. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Pare.
Thank you.
Sorry.
We want call for a picture.